AI is here, and everyone is paying attention. We know this. Many people are wondering if AI will take over their jobs, others how it can help them do their jobs. Some folks are asking if AI can help us solve global warming, while plenty of people fear that superintelligence might eventually evolve beyond humanity and stop caring about us, dystopian sci-fi style. And what about our students? Maybe they're wondering how it can help them with their work while still making room for their originality, their creativity, their sense of morality. Maybe they're wondering how it will change their future jobs or create the profession that will someday be theirs. Maybe they've heard some people say it should never be used in schools, and others say that to shut the door on it is like abandoning the calculator, except times a million. At this point, the questions on our minds as educators and the questions on our students' minds might not be so different. After I interviewed Ben Farrell from the New England Innovation Academy last spring, and he talked about bringing students into the conversation to let them share their ideas on how AI should be used, I was inspired to create my own version of an AI ethical use project-based learning unit, and now I want to share it with you. I designed this project in consultation with John Spencer because I've always admired his work in the PBL and design thinking spaces. So today on the podcast, we're walking through the whole project, which you can sign up to have delivered free to your email in the show notes. I'll guide you through the steps of the project, and hopefully by the end of today's show, you'll feel ready and excited to find space for this important unit in your curriculum this year. Hey there, I'm your host, Betsy Potash, and one-pagers, project-based learning, and choice reading are my jam. I believe in you, and my goal is to help you explore all the creative possibilities you dream of for your classroom. I'm an educator, a chocolate cake aficionado, a traveler who can't wait to get back to Barcelona, and the kind of mom who brings her own mini makerspace to her kid's classroom when she comes to volunteer. I know this for sure, creativity isn't always easy. As a creative teacher, you get parent calls you treasure and plenty of sidelong comments you'd rather forget. But here's the bottom line. Creative education can ignite a spark in your students and change their lives forever. You and I know this. You're an innovator. And while it's sometimes hard, it's so worth it. So let's explore the world of creative education together. Welcome to the Spark Creativity Teacher Podcast. Okay, first things first. I know that for many folks in many systems, having a clear connection to the standards is what makes it possible to do a project like this. If you haven't done a lot of PBL before, I want you to know that you don't have to worry that it won't connect to the standards. This PBL unit hits a ton of the ELA standards. And in the full show notes on my website, I'm putting them all down so you can really see it for yourself. It hits on so many standards from the Common Core. I think there are 10 standards it hits from the writing portion. Looks like 4 standard possibilities for speaking and listening and a couple of big ones for informational text. So if you are at a school where you need to just clearly show what everything you're doing makes progress on in terms of standards, I have those all laid out for you in the show notes on the website. But now I just kind of want to walk you through the project. There are different sections of this project. It's quite an extensive unit. I think there are like 30 pages of materials waiting for you. This podcast episode is going to be very much about the actual handouts that I have created for you, okay? They're all free. You can pick them all up so easily, and that's really what this is about, is walking you through the project and how to use it. So please grab it. At the start of the project, the goal of this PBL unit is going to be to help students start to come up with the questions they want to answer. So you're not going to give them one single question that they will answer. They need to think like, what is going on with AI? How is this affecting my future? How is this affecting schools right now? How is this affecting whatever? And what can I do about it? What can I share with the world that can make an impact? They're going to be asking all these questions. And so at the start of the project, It's really about helping them think of the questions they want to answer. You'll walk them through the project prompt. You'll walk them through the vocabulary of AI, kind of keywords that they're going to be running into in their research. You'll show them some TED Talks that come at the question of AI from very different perspectives and let them think for themselves, like, are both these TED Talks completely valid? Can both these completely opposite opinions be well supported by the research? You'll have them jotting onto a graphic organizer the questions that they're coming up with. You'll give them a big choice menu of different research possibilities so that they can start to dig in different locations around the internet. What are people saying that are credible? What do I think about that? Where does that lead me next? And you'll also walk them through this infographic that I designed for you and for them to show a little bit about what the modern research journey might look like for them. So this project is not going to be a project where they're going to go to the library, pick up 30 books about AI, and then sit in a cubicle with note cards. That is not how we're learning about AI right now, right? There's hardly been time for books to be published about the recent revolution in AI because it's happening now. It's changing all the time. Their research journey is going to look very different from the research paper journey that we went through, in high school. And so this infographic is kind of going to walk them through. Maybe they ask these questions and then they look at these TED Talks and then they go to a museum exhibit online and read some things. And then they read an article in the Washington Post and it opens up more questions. And they look up an expert that was cited in the article and then listen to a podcast with that expert as a guest and just on and on. It kind of shows there are so many possibilities in the research journey today that are different from the research journey 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and that's okay. That's what we want. And so hopefully it's going to kind of open their eyes to the possibilities as the project unfolds. Okay, so that's phase one. You're introducing them to big ideas, big questions, helping them come up with big questions of their own. The second part of the project I'm going to call setup and organization. At this point, the students understand the basic concept of the project. They've started to ask questions, but there's a lot of setting up left to do. You may want to give them the option to choose groups or to work alone, or you might say everybody needs to work in groups. At this point, those groups, whoever the groups are, need to start getting together, organizing their time and tasks. And there are quite a few sort of guiding scaffolds in the project to help them do that. There's a project checklist that kind of shows over the course of the entire project what are the steps they're going to go through. There's a planning sheet that is attached to a calendar so they can start to put the big benchmarks of the project into a calendar. And then there's a task planning sheet that shows like the big tasks and the little subtasks that are part of each big task. And it gives them a chance to sort of say, who's going to be in charge of this? Who's going to be in charge of that if they're in a group? So you'll want to have some time in class for them to meet, to look at these different scaffolds, to think about how they're going to lay out their time. These things will change. We all know that even in our own projects, in our own lives, we may choose such and such a mini deadline and then tweak it. And students will be tweaking, but you want to give them time to at least create some basic guidelines. Moving forward from setup, you're going to be getting into a lot of workshop days where students are going to be working on this project, working on their research. But along the way in those workshops, you're going to have some mini lessons. You're going to have some direct instruction on skills that students may not be so adept at just yet. So for example, you will have a day where you teach them about citation format and MLA. This may be review. This may be new information. It depends on your class. You will have a mini lesson where you talk to them about identifying experts in the field and you walk them through the resources in the project to help them reach out to an expert, to help them identify an expert, to help them write an email or make a call to an expert requesting a short interview, to help them prepare for that interview, to help them write a thank you letter for that interview. The portion of the project that guides them through the expert identification and interview process is a really important one because students in every group should speak with somebody in the field that they're most interested in around AI and incorporate what they learn into their final product. So this is like a key moment in the project. So you'll have a workshop day where you talk about this and you answer questions for this. And then moving forward, students will be continuing to research, reach out to their experts. There's also an option for them to either do observations of people using AI in the field or surveying and considering like, how can I set up a survey? What online tools can I use? Who can I get to do my survey? How can I reward them for doing my survey? So there's all these different ways that they're going to be researching, collecting information across the project. Okay, as you're getting partway through these workshop and direct instruction days, you're going to want to build in some conferencing and some reflecting by students. And so there are guiding handouts built into the unit to help students prepare for the conferences, to help you take notes on those conferences of what you can do to help students, what students might be struggling with, where you might want to jump in and do a mini lesson for the whole class or for that group individually. There's also some help for students to reflect, like what's going well, where do they need support, what skills do they really hope to improve over the course of the project that they can focus on in the middle of these workshop days, just to kind of keep them on track. Okay, the next phase I would call prototyping. This is where students have gathered so much information, so many ideas. They're starting to really formulate their opinions around AI based on their research. And they need to think about how they're going to put that opinion out into the world. And this is where they need to think about different forms of media and different audiences and how they can reach people. Do they want to pitch themselves as a podcast guest? Do they want to pitch themselves to go on a local news show? Do they want to create a video that could be shown to elementary school students about how AI can help them at school without destroying their creativity? Do they want to write a letter to the editor of the New York Times? Like what is going to be the output, their final way of making an impact on the world based on their research? So the prototyping part of the project is really important. There's a prototype checklist to help them think about sort of the process of prototyping and iterating and getting feedback. There's a prompt that gives them a whole bunch of different possible media outlets and ideas for formatting. There's a chance to kind of brainstorm with their group and honor everybody's ideas and get a whole bunch of ideas out there and not just be like, nope, okay, we like gyms and move on. There's a lot of guidance for this prototyping section and a lot of chance to get some feedback from different members of the group. At this point, I've also incorporated a team building challenge where you can take a break for a day, do something fun. In this case, you'll give students a bunch of random materials and let them create a robot for some specific purpose. So this is kind of a day off. I got this idea from John Spencer's work that sometimes students will experience project fatigue in a long-term project like this, and they might need a day to just kind of do something else. But ideally, that something else will help them come together more as a team and just get along better and break up the ruts that they may be in. So a team building day that kind of loosely relates to AI is available. All right, we've reached the final phase, launch and reflection. So at this point, students have done all this research. They have figured out what they want to prototype. They have prototyped. They have gotten feedback on that prototype, and then they are going to actually launch it out to the world. If they've decided they're going to be speakers at an elementary school assembly, then they're going to go speak. If they are going to be guests on a local news show, they're going to go be guests. If they're writing their letter to some important person, they are going to send that letter in the mail. And so then you will want to take some time in class to share. You want each group to have a chance to show, hey, this is what we came up with. This is our opinion. This is how we're putting it out in the world. And this is how it went. And at that point, they're going to have some tools for self-reflection. And you are, of course, going to have some tools for giving them feedback. So that is a quick walkthrough of this rather large free PBL unit for ethical AI use that I have created for you. I really think this could be a great addition to your classes this year, and I really wanted to give it to you. So I hope you're going to follow the link in the show notes and grab it. And I hope you're going to share it with other people in your department or across your grade level team so that they can sign up for it too. And you guys can all do it together, because I think this could be a really powerful way for students to have some ownership over these questions of AI that are swirling around us all. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, take care of yourself and stay creative.